It's decision day in Toronto, and Occupy protesters are waiting to hear if they will be told to clear out. In just a couple of hours, we'll find out whether a judge has sided with city officials. That would mean clearing out protesters' tents from downtown St. James Park and imposing an evening curfew. The CBC's Jeff Semple joins us now from the Occupy camp in downtown Toronto. And so, Jeff, what's the mood like there this morning?
Well, Andrew, most people are still fast asleep here this morning, though some have begun to get up and get ready for what is expected to be a pretty big day here at St. James Park. Most don't seem too optimistic about the judge's decision, as you mentioned, expected in less than 2 hours from now. Justice David Brown expected to rule on whether this encampment, now into its 6th week, will be allowed to continue. But in speaking to these protesters over the past couple of days, the pervasive feeling here really seems to be that their time is up. And that's largely because, on one hand, the decisions, similar rulings they've seen in other cities across the country, it's also partly because of the way the judge reacted to some of the arguments made by Occupy Toronto and their lawyer in an injunction hearing on Friday. Justice David Brown didn't seem to have a whole lot of patience for the argument that this encampment is part of their constitutional right, their freedom of expression. The judge often arguing, at times almost yelling at the Occupy Toronto lawyer, though he did say not to read too much into that. He described himself as an aggressive questioner. But that being said, the feeling here, Andrew, is that when that decision comes down at 9 o'clock Eastern time this morning, it won't be good news for Occupy Toronto.
Well, we'll have to wait and see on that one. But, Jeff, as you've been reporting over the past little while, what's interesting about the particular situation in Toronto is that park where you are standing, half of it is church land, half of it is city land. And so how does that all play into all of this?
Well, that's a very good point. And, what happens next really depends on who you ask here, Andrew. One of the trademarks of this protest right from the beginning is that there's no real leader organizational structure here. It's very organic, sort of making it up as they go along. That pattern expected to continue today. Some people say if they are ordered to leave, they will comply with that order. They will pack up and do so. Others, as you mentioned, are hoping that they can rely on St. James Cathedral, the church that sits just next to this park, that owns a portion of this public park property. In fact, some of the protesters held a press conference here yesterday afternoon asking the officials with the church to give them sanctuary if, in fact, that eviction order does go forward. And some here say, as they have right from the beginning, that they're not going anywhere. Over the past couple of days, they've been practicing different techniques to peacefully resist arrest if, in fact, it does come to that. We'll find out less than 2 hours from now. Andrew. All
right, Jeff, thanks very much. That's the CBC's Jeff Semple in Toronto. Occupy protesters in downtown Vancouver already know their fate. They've been ordered to pack up and go by 2 p.m. local time. Most are expected to leave, but a few say they'll defy the court order.